interest in defeating ISIS? Well, why not? Our country as a whole believes in defending not only our borders, but peace around the world. That is the main purpose of our armed forces, which consists of our Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, and Coast Guard. Our country protects its interests both within and outside its borders. There are too many problems with not going to war with ISIS. Going to war with ISIS. They are killing and terrorizing and recruiting many American citizens for their own Yes.
They have recruited only 300 American citizens.
What about the illegal Americans?
There are no illegal Americans that have been recruited so far.
What about the Muslims who've come in and come back?
The
Just for school.
Muslims, they are not American. They just came here for school.
But they've been recruited back.
Yeah, they're not American yet. They just came.
Okay. You can sit down. Let me find where I am now. They're using innocent hospital workers to help their wounded soldiers. They steal and threaten many people and take over entire oil plants and kill or kidnap the people running the plants. They also use and buy illegal weapons. ISIS is a powerhouse with an abundance of members that keeps growing. Since September, we have had 3,222 airstrikes on ISIS and only killed around 7,000 fighters. You can sit down. This has been considered acceptable. That means that there's only around 2 fighters killed in airstrikes, and airstrikes costing up to almost $1 million. Yes.
For every airstrike, ISIS kills another American member. That's why they're killing our Americans like James Foley. They do this because we attacked them. They have kept us alone for the past 11 years after the Iraq War because they've seen our defeat, and now they're attacking us.
Right, so instead of using airstrikes, don't you think we should go to war and stop them completely?
That will just make them kill more Americans.
If we stop them, how are they going to kill anyone?
They are going to go to America and kill Americans.
Not if they're all dead.
Not.
can sit down.
Do you think that everybody will die in one instant? And not there will
No,
be
which is
people
why there's a
who will be
war, not just a
fighting.
bomb dropping on their heads. Sit down. ISIS has killed up to date 170,000 Muslims, mainly, that is not to mention, and they have injured over 24,000. ISIS is putting civilians not only at risk, but in coffins. Many Muslims are slaughtered on a daily basis because they do not worship the same God or principle. We have our own beliefs and the right to those beliefs as Americans. And so don't you think, as American citizens, we should go help others to get their right? ISIS doesn't listen when we try to talk. ISIS doesn't listen with airstrikes. ISIS won't stop. Our only option left is war. Every day we lose more and more citizens. And every day we wait like bystanders in a bad bully scene, just as bad because we didn't help. ISIS stands for the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. An Islamic State is an extremist group found in Islam, and their plan is not to hurt just anyone. It's not random targets. So it's not like we don't know who we need to protect. There's no excuses. And they won't conform to weakly urging them to stop. Rather that be airstrikes or anything. What will get ISIS to stop is a war. If we defeat ISIS, they will turn to nothing. We have not stopped or even very widely damaged ISIS. Yes.
Defeating ISIS would basically say that you're defeating the thought. Like, we have not even defeated Al-Qaeda yet. There's still Al-Qaeda terrorists out there after the 13
You're right, but name the last thing that was on the news that they've done. Name one thing that they've done.
Well, they have killed a medical. They went to a hospital so far, and they.
Okay, you have one thing, and ISIS happens, every couple of hours.
How? Can you explain that? How? What have they done in the past hour? What have they done in the past 3 hours? What have they done in the past day so far?
I haven't checked in the past day, but I can tell you this, that every day I've checked, they've done at least 3 new things.
Well, have they
Okay,
done anything today? You said in the past hour, and I don't think there's 3 hours in a day.
There's 24.
Yeah, so they're not doing things every hour.
You're supposed to sit down.
ISIS is a powerhouse that needs to be destroyed. With that said, our armed forces are to create peace in and around our country. Not only does ISIS pose a threat to territories and countries that the U.S. has vowed to defend and help and restructure, and to democratic countries such as Iraq and Iran and Afghanistan, Syria and Egypt, but the U.S. armed forces also work with allies such as Egypt and Syria and Saudi Arabia and Israel to promote peace and democracy in the region.
Time.
think of what would happen if we were to add 4.5% of our national debt to itself. If we were to commit ground troops and an all-out assault, it would cost about $40 billion per year.
Yes. I'm just saying, like, our debt's way too big. Even if we add the money, we're still not going to pay it back anytime soon.
Whoa, why would we add even more?
If the proposed war of mass insurgents was longer than the Year War, it would accumulate to a little under a 20th of our national debt. This is comparable to $520 billion. If we were to commit this to a debt that's to a fight that's already being dealt with 20,000 troops constantly fighting ISIS, I mean, we already have 40.
If it's being dealt with, then why do they keep growing?
They keep growing because we are soon going to stop them. They've only gotten 15,000 troops in the last year. Twitter and Facebook are already starting to eliminate all of the sources they have.
Can you explain to me how we stop them just besides social media?
We stopped them with the 4,000 small amounts of troops in the ground, and we used the help from Kurdish and Iraqis and pro-government forces.
So,
We already have 4,000 trained troops in operation in the Islamic States, and cyber attacks are slowly reducing the size of ISIS. ISIS has an estimated total of 31,000 people, and half of these are being recruited using the internet. If we simply shut down the internet accessibility in ISIS and an all-out assault using trained hackers, we could stop the growth of ISIS.
They don't recruit that many people off the internet. Like, most of the people that are on ISIS that are outside, like shooting people and all that, they didn't find like them on Facebook or Twitter. Most of them are from the area and they are extremists.
Well, according to statistics, 15,000, which is about half of their population, has been recruited, and this is almost important because groups like Anonymous have declared a cyber war, and just yesterday they found 6,000 rogue Twitter accounts. They're already reducing the size of social media.
But shutting down their Twitter isn't going to stop them from killing anybody.
ISIS is fueled on its territory. In order to succeed in being the caliphate, you must provide foreign fuel. ISIS only has enough territory to fill Illinois. This is already very little. If ISIS starts losing territory and needs to gain it through fear and military, they have no chance. The more they recruit, the more they take in and destroy, the more feared and hated they will become. Already, the United Nations is debating on whether we should declare some scale of war on ISIS. However, this won't mean massive insurgents. Let's say the UN Security Council permanent members declared war on ISIS. The members are the United States, France, China, the UK, and Russia. This would be 5 superpowers invading just a few parts of Syria and Iraq. Don't forget multiple groups like the Kurdish ethnic group and Iraqis are already fighting them. They just recently took Tikrit, which is a major Iraq city. Now, not to mention, the UN can't declare war themselves, but can individually fight ISIS. Combining at least 2 of the superpowers, being France and the US, we would have an estimated 10,000 trained troops on the ground per country. This would be more than enough to wipe out ISIS. However, more than enough is the problem. Rather, what we need to do is not have more than enough. With 4,000 trained tactical units in operation since the end of 2014, things have died down. The pro-government Syrian coalitions are battling to take back territory as well as Iraq is. The local Kurdish group are fighting for their territory, and the U.S. is using cyber attacks and drone attacks to assist. Even local Kurds and Iraqi forces of 20,000 troops, which is just under 15% of the estimated population of ISIS, are in a firefight with ISIS, trying to capture back Mosul, Iraq's second largest city. Not only would it be of no current need or too much economic repercussions, but it is a progressing matter. We need to keep working towards removing the threat, but currently we are in full gear, and we can trust the government to deal with the situation. Recently, we have discovered the identity of multiple high-value targets. It's not going to be long until we start gaining information on their locations and start making small insertions of Navy SEALs and SAM cruise missiles.
Can I go back on your point when you're saying, like, how money, isn't that kind of immoral that you're not going to go save a bunch of civilians that are in the line of fire just because you want to save money?
Well, the problem is already being dealt with to including stints by local forces and cyber attacks. Why would we need to send massive amounts of troops that are definitely more than enough?
But we didn't need to
and
send
waste
massive
money?
amounts. We could have sent like 1,000. Or like, we don't need to send,
We already
I
have
don't tell you
4,000
what.
there.
We only have
Time.
right, at the end of the second interview.